Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my feature author of the month of January. He is award winning and best selling author, no other than Mr. Harry Turtledove. Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Harry, and can you please introduce more about
I'm Harry
yourself?
Turtledove. I write science fiction. I write a lot of alternate history because I have a history degree that I never got to teach with. I write fantasy. I write historical fiction. I tell lies for a living, and I've managed to make a living at it for more than 30 years now.
Mr. Harry Turtledove, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world. And of course, award winning and best selling author. What inspired you to become a writer?
I discovered that there were some writers whose work that I liked, and I discovered that when I wrote, I could try to sound like them, which is one of the things that writers do when they're learning how. They imitate what they admire. And I did that, and eventually I got the nerve to start sending stories out, and I was doing a good enough job so that after a while I started making money at it. And it beats
Yes.
working.
I think Mr. Yes, and it's working. I think Mr. Harry, you won all the books awards, if I'm not
I've,
mistaken.
I've,
Hugo, Bros
no,
Stoker.
I've won the Hugo. I've won several Sidewise Awards. I won a Dragon Con Award. I've won some other things, and it's very nice. I mean, it means people like what I do. That's good.
Yes. So, how did your upbringing or education influence your writing?
Well, my the things that I read influenced my education because I got interested in the history of the Byzantine Empire, which is what I studied. Because I read a book by L. Sprague de Camp called Lest Darkness Fall, and that made me interested in the Byzantine Empire, which I'd never heard of till then. And so I ended up with a degree in Byzantine history, and nobody wanted to hire me. So I wrote, and here I am all these years later.
Yes. So, how did you describe your writing style?
I try to be accurate. I try to make people think a little bit. I try to amuse them because if they don't keep turning pages, they won't buy the books, and I won't make any money. If I can keep them reading, then that's what I'm aiming to do.
So, what was your first published work, and how does it feel to see in the print?
The first thing that I published was a fantasy novel called Were Night, which I had tried to write a couple of times when I was younger, and it wasn't good enough to sell. And I tried again in my later 20s when I was very frustrated with writing my dissertation, and it didn't look so bad. And so I started sending it out, and eventually it sold. And that was one of the more amazing days of my life.
Amazing days for sure. So, which of your books are you most proud of and why?
Oh, that's like asking me which of my kids am I most proud of. It's not really,
Yes,
it's not
indeed.
really a fair question, but let me point you at a pretty new one, which is 3 Miles Down, which came out a couple of years ago and is set in the 70s and is about something that really happened. The CIA spending a moon voyage's worth of money to try to get a Russian submarine up from the Pacific, except in this book, the Russian submarine was sunk by an alien ship that's already on the bottom of the Pacific, and they're trying to get that up instead. And the book that I'm probably best known for is The Guns of the South, which is the one with Robert E. Lee holding an AK-47 on the cover. The cover art was my idea. My idea was to think, why is this general from 160 years ago holding a Russian assault rifle? And it seems to have worked pretty well.
Hmm. Yes. So, what is your typical writing process or daily routine?
I sit in a nice, comfortable chair. I have a lap desk. I have a fountain pen. I have paper. I write. I write a couple of pages. I put them away. Eventually, I transcribe them on the computer and clean up what I need to do, and then I send them off to an editor. I'm a very primitive guy. This is what I do and how it works.
So, how do you approach world building and character development?
World building, I think of as being like an iceberg. 90% of it had better be under the surface of the water so it doesn't show. The trick is to tell the things that let the reader know that you already know all the other stuff that you're not talking about, that he doesn't need to worry about it. So the world doesn't seem like it's cardboard and it goes away when you're not looking directly at it. Characters
Hmm.
are built out of pieces of me, inevitably, and pieces of people I know, and pieces of people that I've read about. And if they're historical figures, they're based on whatever I can find out about that person and how that person responded to things. And then we just go from there.
So, where do you find inspiration for your stories?
Almost anywhere. I mean, ideas are the easy part. The stories are the hard part. Uh, I mean, I've had an idea for a story while I was taking a shower, while I was washing the dishes, while I'm reading a book about
Hmm.
something that I really didn't expect to have anything about. An idea about. I got the idea for 3 Miles Down when I saw in a catalog a book about the real story of the Hughes Global Explorer, the CIA ship that tried to raise the Russian submarine. And I thought, ooh, what if it weren't just a submarine? What if there were an alien ship down there too? And that's where the book came from.
That
They can come anywhere. I got the idea for Guns of the South. I'm friends with a fine fantasy writer named Judith Tarr. And Judy and I, back in the 80s, before either one of us had email, we would write back and forth.
so
And she was complaining
yes.
that the cover art for a book that she had coming out was as anachronistic as Robert E. Lee holding an Uzi. And I looked at that and I thought, I can do something with that. And I answered the letter to her, and then I added a handwritten PS at the bottom. Who would want to give Robert E. Lee an Uzi? Time traveling South Africans, maybe? If I write it, I'll give you an acknowledgement. And I did write it, and I did give her an acknowledgement.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing, Mr. Harry. So, which of your books has been the most commercially
Probably Guns of the
successful?
South. Of course, it's been out there since 1992, so it's had a while.
Mm,
That was
yes.
the book that let me quit
And
my day job.
oh, wow. Amazing. Let's give a big, big hand for that book. Mr. Harry, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. So, are there any hidden themes in your works that readers often miss?
I sometimes hide things in there. When you're doing that in a video game, they call it Easter eggs. I put Easter eggs in things, and some people who know some of the weird things that I know will notice them, and other people they'll just go on by and they'll keep reading, and okay, fine, that's okay. You don't have to, but it's for the people who will notice, I put them in.
Yes. So, how do you balance writing for critical acclaim versus audience appeal?
If you don't appeal to the audience, it doesn't matter whether the critics like you or not, because nobody will publish what you read. You know,
For sure.
so I
So,
write for the audience and for me.
def- it's just a consolation for the award,
Yep.
right? So, what awards have you won and what they mean to you?
Oh gosh, what all have I won? I've won a Hugo. I've lost a couple of Hugos. I've lost a couple of Nebulas. I've won a Dragon Con award. I've won a bunch of Sidewise awards. I've won an award from Italy. I've won an award for YA fiction. Uh, and I mean, what do they mean? They mean that people like what I did, and that's sort of the point of trying to write.
Definitely. They love you. And Mr. Harry, despite all those accolades, what are your aspirations as a writer?
To write, to entertain people, to make people think, to get them to buy my books so I can keep buying food, all those good things.
Yes, yes, to have a good life. So, how do you handle the pressure of maintaining high expectations from your
Um,
readers?
you do the best you can. What else can you do? I I try to make things, I try to tell the best story I can. I try to interest people about the characters, about the world that the characters are living in, and I try to keep them interested. That's all. What else can I do?
Yes, interesting books and empowering. So, what advice would you give to a new authors trying to break into the industry?
Well, I mean, the best advice that I ever found was the advice that the science fiction writer Robert A. Heinlein gave to people who were trying to break in. The first, there are 5 steps, and you have to do all of them. And you have to do all of them all the time. The first one is you must write. If you don't write, you're in trouble because nobody can read what you don't write. Second step, you must finish what you write. The third step is the one that not everybody agrees with because there are lots and lots and lots of different ways to write, but I have found that it works pretty well for me. And the third step is you must refrain from rewriting except to editorial order, which means that once you've got it the way you want it, don't mess with it, get it out there. Because the fourth step is you must put it on the market. And the fifth and last step is you must keep it on the market until it is sold. And these steps work, in series. You have to do all of them. If you don't write, you won't have anything to finish. If you don't finish, you won't have anything to submit. If you keep fiddling with it, you won't have anything to submit. If you submit it once and it comes back, don't give up. Send it somewhere else. And if you keep doing all of them, sooner or later you will start to sell. And the other thing is that if you do all these things, you'll gain experience by doing them. I have 500,000 words in the trunk that no one will ever read because they're no good. Most writers do. You have to learn how before you get good enough to have other people interested in what you're doing. And it just, it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes a lot of stubbornness. Stubbornness may be the most important virtue to have.
Yes. Being stubborn, people. And try until you
That's right.
succeed.
Because you will if you keep doing
And
it long enough.
yes, definitely. And stop procrastinating. If you have the passion to write, write. Just like Mr. Harry Turtledove. So, how important are literary agents and publishers in your
Well, I
genre?
mean, if you get published by a big publisher, you will get more money than if you, or it's very likely that you will get more money than if you get published by a small press or if you self-publish. So publishers are important, and agents are the gateway from writers to publishers. So having a good agent will help you a lot.
Definitely. So, what common mistakes do you see aspiring writers make?
Quitting. Uh, I mean, that's what happens most often is you get discouraged, you send out a story once and it comes back and you think, oh my gosh, they didn't like my baby, my poor baby. And it hurts so much that you don't send it out again. For the guys who are listening to me, it's a little bit like dating, just because, all right, you ask a girl out and she says no, um, that doesn't mean you're not going to ask another girl out. It may not mean that if the circumstances change, you may not, you might ask the girl who said no out again and see what happens. And writing is a lot like that. You just have to you have to keep trying.
Definitely. So, Mr. Harry, what will be your short-term and long-term goals in writing?
I just I to finish the book that I'm working on now and to find something to do after it's finished, and then we'll just go on from there.
Yes, that'd be
The goal
awesome.
of a writer is to write and to write as well as that person possibly can.
Looking forward for those books, Mr.
Thank you.
Harry. And how do you want your work to be remembered by readers and literary world?
I really don't worry about that a whole lot. If people keep reading me after I'm gone, that's about as close to immortality as anybody comes. You know, uh, I'm doing the best I can. That's all I can do.
Yes, to the best of the best. So, what will be your legacy to the world?
I have no idea. I will probably be too dead to worry about it too.
Yes, you're the most humble. Humble. So, Mr. Hari, to sum up our discussion, what do you think sets you apart from other authors in your genre?
Oh, well, let's see. I know a lot about history. I'm a pretty decent writer. I make bad puns. Some of them people notice. Some of
Yeah.
them I manage to sneak by them. I'm, I've been doing it a long time now. I'm beginning to think I may sort of kind of know how. I hope I do anyway.
Yes, for sure. For those all accolades, people love you, and I hope you will
Me
continue
too,
doing this.
because I expect
Yes.
I will keep doing it until they shovel dirt on me, and I don't want that to happen for a while yet anyway.
Yes, for sure. And one more, Mr. Hari. Who are your favorite authors?
Oh, wow. Well, the man who made me what I am, for better and for worse, was L. Sprague de Camp, because Lest Darkness Fall made me study Byzantine history. It made me get a doctorate in Byzantine history. It made me teach for the fellow I studied under when he had a guest appointment at the University of Athens. And while I was teaching there, I met the lady that I've been married to for the past going on 45 years. So if I hadn't read his book when I read it and gotten interested in Byzantine history, I wouldn't have written most of what I've written because most of what I've written is historically based. I would have written something. I already had the bug, but I wouldn't have written what I wrote. I wouldn't be married to the woman I'm married to. I wouldn't have the kids I have. I wouldn't be living where I'm living. Other than that, it didn't change my life at all. So, writers are dangerous people. They can change your entire life without even meeting you. Years and years after Sprague de Camp did that, I did meet him and I told him about it, and I think he was pleased and horrified in about equal measure.
Horrified. So, Mr. Harry, why is it Byzantine?
Because I got interested when I read the novel Lest Darkness Fall. It's an important period in Eastern European history that not enough people in the English speaking world know anything about. And I got fascinated, the way you do when you run into something. Ooh, I never knew about that, but it's kind of cool. And I thought, ooh, this is kind of cool. So I learned as much as I could about it. And I learned some funny languages and I learned a lot of research skills. And here I am today telling lies for a living because I studied Byzantine history.
I like it. Telling lies. And of course, Mr. Harry Turtledove, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. Looking forward for more empowering books that you are creating. And can you please invite our listeners to support all your
Oh, I hope they
books?
do. I hope everybody who is listening to this runs right out and immediately buys everything I ever wrote. That would be very good. I'd like that.
Yes. That'd be awesome. So, people, my feature author of the month of January, award-winning and best-selling author, Mr. Harry Turtledove. Let's support him and empower him so that more empowering books to come. So, Mr. Harry, thank you for
Thank
your
you very
time.
much, Daniel. I appreciate it.
Bodycount people, see you soon.